This is Motivation and Engagement in a Classroom by Havana Bedford.
Sadie Medina.
Janelli Oriana.
Corelli Leon.
What is motivation and engagement in the classroom? Motivated students are full of energy, actively learning, and have a teacher who encourages positive engagement in the classroom. When a teacher positively and their encouragement is consistent, students tend to feel more accepted and supported and have better success in the classroom. When a student is seen, heard, validated, loved, and physically and emotionally safe, motivation and engagement increase and lead to observable academic gains. Students' success rates increase when they are motivated and engaged in the classroom. The importance of motivation and engagement. Motivation encourages students to complete specific tasks. Students become motivated when the teacher has positive energy. Engagement allows for the tasks to be done in a shorter time period because the student's focus is directed towards the task at hand. And as a teacher, it's important to create lessons that are engaged yet informational, motivate. As a teacher, motivation and engagement go hand in hand because it really shows how much information a student will retain. Some of the influential factors of motivation and engagement can include the class and curriculum structure. Students thrive where there's structure. Educators should strive to create an in-depth lesson plan that is well organized and ready beforehand. Teachers' behavior and personality. The teacher should remain unbiased with students and show compassion, kindness, and positive encouragement to all children. Teaching methods. Teaching in such a way that prevents students from getting bored, keeping in mind different learning styles, and apply different teaching methods where needed. The parental habits and involvement, how involved the parent is with the child's learning material, if the parent's actively listening to the child and attending the parent-teacher meetings can all affect the student's motivation and engagement. Influential factors continued. Family issues and instability. Students can be greatly impacted by things such as divorce, loss of a relative, and other personal issues. And teachers should be aware and reach out to the correct resources to help these students. Peer relationships and learning environment. The stress of a social status greatly impacts students and their learning environment. And if their learning environment's overwhelming, it could lead to a lack of motivation. And assessments. If tests are continuously too challenging, students may lose motivation. Some strategies to work on motivation and engagement in the classroom. Making sure the students are actively involved, doing individual work such as whiteboards can keep them engaged. Group work, which could help them communicate different ideas and opinions. And then there's another option called pairing and sharing, and it's given the opportunity for the students to actively listen to another student and engage with their ideas and have a conversation. The relationships between teachers and students. A teacher greatly influences the overall vibe of the classroom. Teachers should remain positive, optimistic, and high energy to help motivate the students. Teachers should always keep in mind the resources available for all their students. Caring for the students' well-being and mental health can highly impact how the student perceives school and their motivation and engagement within the classroom. Asking students questions such as, how do I feel? Am I interested? Is this important? Or can I do this? And these kind of questions can help the teacher gauge where the student is like mentally, how well they're staying focused and on task, how motivated they are to do their assignments. So this can help teachers gauge how students are doing and allows an opportunity to shift the instructional method in order to help the motivation and engagement of the classroom. And it also gives the students an opportunity to decide what they are really interested about or how they feel about certain subjects. That way in the future, they can feel more in control of their own education and make choices based on what interests them.
Okay, so what is internal motivation? Internal motivation, also known as intrinsic motivation, is when students are engaged because of internal rewards, meaning a love of learning or interest in a subject. These students learn to value learning for its own merits, regardless of external factors. An example of intrinsic motivation is a student learning new vocabulary words because they love to read. And another example of internal motivation is students wanting to learn for the enjoyment of learning rather than their desire to get an A+ on their upcoming exam. It is important for teachers to be able to create an environment in which internal motivation is a part of. Supportive learning environments. This could be areas that are free up from discrimination, encouragement for students to raise their hands, to answer questions, even if they are unsure. And this furthers internal motivation among learners. What is external motivation? External motivation, also known as extrinsic motivation, is referring to a behavior that is only driven by external rewards. Students may be motivated to learn to pass a test, to gain a reward, or to avoid a punishment. An example of external motivation is a student who is studying so their parents will not ground them for poor grades. And then another example is a student only completing the homework for the praise or promised prizes. Teachers should use external motivation when a student is not interested in a certain activity, homework, quiz, or even an exam. For example, external rewards, tokens, prizes, praise, extra credit, grades, or stickers could motivate the students to want to participate and even try to do their very best in order to obtain a reward, studying solely for the grade they are aiming for. Creating an assignment, examples of internal motivation in the classroom is creating an assignment that induces challenges because the students find that enjoyable and captivating. When students have some freedom over their assignments, the students are more likely to be more motivated. For example, blended learning is a mixture of independent learning and whole class lessons. Creating an activity that was challenging to help students realize that they are done. Once they are done, they'll see progress and realize they accomplished something positive or a capability when they learn something new or become more skilled at a task. And then you can include some curriculum that is relevant to your student's life and current needs to boost motivation. Examples of external motivation in the classroom is to choose rewards that encourage internal motivation. If you're holding a reading contest, for example, you can make the prize a book of the child's choice. You can also ask your students what they are curious about and help them find something that interests them about an assignment that is assigned. Then you can give your students positive feedback on their assignments to encourage them and to reinforce that they can do well. As a teacher, it is important to get to know your students and their unique interests. If possible, create assignments in a way that can include their interests. For example, let's say a student loves cars, write a math problem that involves counting cars. And then the differences between external and internal motivation. Internal motivation comes from within, while external motivation comes from the outside. So external motivation would look like participating in a spelling bee to win the rewards. And internal motivation is participating in a spelling bee for fun and because they love to spell. And studying to obtain a good grade. And then internal motivation is studying because it is fascinating to them. External motivation, a student learning new vocabulary words because they have to know the words in order to read. And then internal motivation is a student learning new vocabulary words because they love to read.
So some motivational tools. One is a goal organizer. Teachers can model goal setting and goal tracking to help students establish their own goals. When they set their own goals, they're more likely to achieve them because they feel more meaningful and personal. Teachers can give students options to use vision boards to monitor their progress on graphs or charts, or to use reflections to discuss their progress. Another tool that can be used are rubrics. Effective and objective feedback allows students to track their progress in reaching their goals. Rubrics allow students to know what is expected of them, and teachers can even allow students to use this as a form of reflection from each student. Another tool is formative assessment. This form of assessment helps students to learn and practice while also seeing their progress. There are many ways to successfully do this, which can include using Google Forms for individual assessments or group projects where teachers can have students create a presentation about what they learned. Another tool is reward systems. Students may feel more motivated when their efforts are rewarded. Teachers can provide this in a variety of ways depending on the grade level, but it can include the stoplight concept, which is where if they're doing good, they're on the green light. If they're not doing so well, they're on the red light. Or stickers, or being able to attend a movie in the classroom. Other motivational tools, there could be a classroom page for communication. Clear communication between students and their teachers motivates students, and setting up a classroom page can help teachers achieve that. Teachers can also use this to allow students to work together on projects, which can make assignments more enjoyable. Some examples of tools to use would be Canvas or Google Classroom. Teachers can also use surveys or questionnaires. Allowing students to share their opinions can increase students' personal investment in the classroom. Using surveys or questionnaires allows students to participate and have a say in some situations, which can include deciding the sequence in which lessons and activities are presented. This can be done on different sites like Google Forms or Poll Everywhere. Students can also be motivated by active brain breaks. Between lessons, using active brain breaks allows students to expend energy, and teachers can use a variety of videos as tools to achieve this. Another tool is engaging learning games. Using learning games allows students to practice different skills in a more enjoyable way, and some tools like Kahoot can be fun for students while also allowing teachers to assess their students.
Some pros of external motivational rewards are that they motivate students to perform a specific activity, even if there is no initial interest in it. By aiming for a prize, the students can participate and be persistent to obtain that reward. So this means that there will be more participation, like raising their hands and answering questions, or even just being more engaged within the classroom. The National Association of School Psychologists suggests the establishment of incentive programs to motivate children to complete their homework. By motivating children to complete their homework, it also helps boost their grades as well. Students feel with external motivational rewards, students can feel more acknowledged and compensated for their hard work through positive reinforcements for starting or maintaining good habits. They may provide, so these external motivational rewards may provide some short-term happiness. For example, like getting candy after answering a question correctly. External motivational rewards also promote and acknowledge school effort and lead to improved outcomes for students, such as their grades or test scores. Every success helps children build their self-esteem and self-confidence. For example, once they start building their self-esteem, they're able to participate and answer questions more because they feel like they are able to, and they will correctly answer the question. External motivational rewards also motivate pupils to be more productive by creating a feeling of pride and achievement. Successful students are happy students. Some cons of external motivational rewards. So a 2016 study of 96 3-year-olds shows that children's willingness to share with other children diminished when they received a material reward compared with those who received verbal praise or no reward at all. Extrinsic motivation is fleeting and offers diminishing returns. Motivation progressively fades away when the punishment or reward remain at equivalent levels. So more motivation means giving a bigger reward. Rewarding students for performing anything may make their innate wish to do it on their own disappear. It can work to repress the intrinsic motivations students have in life, so they may feel less motivated to do something unless if that reward is bigger. Using candy or other treats as motivators could lead to an unhealthy relationship with food. With external motivational rewards, students focus more on finishing a task to win an award instead of learning what they're actually learning and what the lesson is meant to teach. So they're more focused on the results instead of the progress. Some pupils can become addicted to rewards and won't study without them. Although they may have formed good habits by studying more, it has a negative impact because without the rewards, they don't want to study anymore. Children might feel like they are being manipulated or bribed, which in turn teaches them how to manipulate or bribe, or even possibly negotiate a bigger reward or a different reward. Students may feel increased pressure. The more we praise children, the greater the fall if they cannot live up to that praise. So for example, the left image shows a sticker chart or a sticker reward chart. So a lot of students, although they're getting stickers and they're getting an external reward by getting a sticker, some students, like the one near the bottom, may feel unmotivated or may feel left out, and they may feel increased pressure of having to meet the same expectations and may feel behind that they're not doing as well as other students. So it discourages them from obtaining better grades or even studying or practicing. So should external motivational rewards be used? We need to keep in mind that everything is always dependent on each individual student's needs. What works for some will not work for all. If a student is already motivated, then we should work toward a goal. There really is no need for external motivational rewards. If a child is not interested in an activity or a goal, then we can consider rewards to increase that motivation. To make the reward meaningful, we should let students have a say or choice in their rewards, but within reason. For example, they can get a sticker on their chart or may even choose to have a movie day. Showing appreciation and respect can be extremely helpful. Simply recognizing children for good behavior or work is a great motivator and is always appreciated. Smaller rewards along the way send the message that effort and progress matter. We need to recognize that what is rewarding or motivating is a matter of personal preference. So what works for some may not work for all. We also, as educators, we need to get to know our students and show them that we care. Research suggests that caring relationships with teachers help pupils do better in school and act more kindly towards others. If you do reward, keep the tangible rewards as low as possible to get the result needed, and try to rely more on intangible rewards. For example, maybe giving a free pass on a homework assignment after they complete 5 really difficult questions successfully. And then here are some of our resources. And then We'll go ahead and go to our lesson plan. So the title of our lesson plan is Whiteboard Math Lesson. The content area is math, and it's for 4th grade. So this focuses on using place value understanding and properties of operations to perform multi-digit arithmetic. So students will use whiteboards to independently work on problems given by the teacher. Once they complete the problem, the board is raised and shown to the teacher. The teacher should give corrective advice if the student has not successfully completed the problem. Using whiteboards can help the students review their knowledge of multi-digit multiplication and be a fun way to help with the common struggles in the class. The overall goal of the lesson is to keep students engaged with the math lesson. The lesson will not be graded, just practice and a tool for the teacher. Digit multiplication.
So the description of unit and lessons, students will be able to develop the skill to solve 2-digit multiplication. Students will be able to explain calculations through equations, rectangular arrays, and area models. Students will be able to understand the strategies based on place values through the activities being done on the whiteboards. Students will be able to ask and see their classmates' answers, reflect on the answers, and how they ended up with the answers, helping each other to understand the material. Students will be able to work out the problem on the whiteboard showing their work. Some essential questions. Why is it important to know how to multiply a whole number up to 4 digits by a 1-digit number? Why is it important to know how to multiply 2-digit numbers? Why is it important to know how to understand the strategies based in place value? Why is it important to be able to work out the problem and show the work? And why is it important to be able to communicate and share answers with their classmates? So the formative assessment, students will play a game of Kahoot at the end of the activity. And the summative assessment, students will take a short quiz using Google Forms provided by the teacher at the end of the lesson.
So for progress monitoring, the teacher should check for understanding during the whiteboard lesson review by checking the students' work and correcting them positively. Students who have not completed the multiplication problem correctly should be instructed on how to check their work and try again. Once a majority of the class has completed the multiplication problem using a rectangular array, the teacher should give the students a new problem to work on. There should be no specific time limit. The progress of the students' understanding should increase throughout the lesson, and the teacher should monitor the correctness of their work and encourage them to try again if they need to. So the materials we're using are a class set of whiteboards, of reference sheets, dry erase markers, whiteboard erasers, and then the projector, smartboard, computer, Google Docs, or Microsoft Word. And essential vocabulary for this lesson: multiplication, addition, rectangular arrays, area, and multi-digit multiplication.
So oh my God, I cannot say that word. I'm so sorry. Anyway, the English learners will provide vocabulary and multiplication table on the sheet that they can reference back to. And then the special education students will provide, we will provide similar references, a similar reference sheet and use more guided instructions. And then for our GATE students, more challenging problems on the back of the reference sheet to work on independently. And then implementation, the instructional strategies, procedures, and the student activities. The warm-up will be the teacher will review two-digit multiplication by going over examples. The teachers will ask if students want an extra review example before moving on. The teacher will pass out the reference sheets while students pick up the materials. The activity, The teacher will provide problems for students to work on independently. Students will use whiteboards to stay engaged while working and will raise their board up when they are finished. The teacher will provide each question one at a time and give feedback to each student. Students will review and rectify their answers if needed. If the teacher sees the same mistakes happening often, the teacher will step in and walk through the problem. This helps with confusion or struggles amongst the students. The closing will be the class will play a game of Kahoot where it will also be used as a formative assessment. After the Kahoot game, the students will be handed a sheet to review how well the lesson went. And this sheet will help students ask for extra help, let the teacher know what they liked and what could have made the lesson better. The reflection and lesson evaluation. This lesson includes different strategies to keep students motivated in learning multi-digit arithmetic and in multiplication. They are using whiteboards to stay engaged while working at their own pace. Students are also using Kahoot as a digital motivational tool, which allows for immersive formative assessment. And students are provided a review sheet at the end of the activity, and the teacher will evaluate these to inquire which students need extra help.